Let's go. Why don't you just bring it to the table?
And now, presenting author, organizer, activist, and host, the woman who brings unity to our community, Angela C. Hardin.
Blessings. We say blessings to you. For this is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. I am so excited to be here for another Bring It to the Table Real Talk with Angela C. Hardin. And we're excited about today's show. We have a very special guest with us, and we have a very interesting topic today. And we're titling this particular show Emergency 911 because that's just what it is. It's an emergency call to help thousands of children out there that's going through some things. Our very special guest is none other than attorney Dakara Brown Myers. She's married now, and she is the administrative attorney for the juvenile court system. She's also DFACS liaison, um, and also a grant coordinator, as well as the program director for the juvenile court. Blessings to you. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, welcome, welcome. We talked earlier, some months ago, about doing a special show to bring some awareness to some things that's happening with our young people in Augusta, Richmond County. And then I've had some personal experience with the juvenile court system dealing with a couple of my grandchildren that so we're very familiar with the process. And so I will probably be sharing some personal things as well on tonight because I'm very much affected by what has taken place and what is taking place in the juvenile court system here in Augusta, Richmond County. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we want to go into talking about what you do there for the juvenile court system.
Well, I'm Dakara Brown, and I am born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, Richmond County,
Yes.
from South Augusta, and a product of the public school system here. Very proud of that. And I started out at Gracewood Elementary School and graduated from Davidson Fine Arts School. And I'm very proud of the Richmond County school system. It prepared me for college, for law school. And after I graduated from law school, some almost 20 years ago, I decided to come back and practice in Augusta. Started out, my first job was at the solicitor's office in Richmond County, working for then solicitor Cheryl Jolly. Then I went on to what was then the Indigent Defense before it became the Public Defender's Office. And then I went into private practice of law and have been in private practice for the better part of maybe 15 years. And during that period of time, working in Columbia County Juvenile Court for Judge Flanagan.
Okay.
And worked for Judge Flanagan for over a decade in Columbia County Juvenile Court and Burke County Juvenile Court. It was not until Judge Flanagan became the chief judge or presiding judge of the entire juvenile court for Richmond, Columbia, and Burke County, of which all is part of the Augusta Judicial Circuit, that he hired me as an administrative attorney. And since that time, I have been in Richmond County Juvenile Court for the last 2 years, full time. So I've left my private practice to be full time, and it has been an experience
To help our children.
It
Yes.
has. I did not anticipate all of the politics involved.
Okay, now you use that word, I didn't,
I
but I
know.
was going there.
Right.
Okay.
And so I did not.
Yes.
That was one of the things that I did not anticipate. And so I now have a full understanding of some of the hurdles, where a lot of the obstacles and roadblocks that
We're faced with.
concerned the juvenile court and serving our children in this community. So I have now the full context of what it takes and some of the hurdles.
Which is real sad. I think that's one of the blocks that hinders us from really serving our children that's in need. And we probably get to that. Tell us exactly what it is. You there full time now, and I'm glad you mentioned Judge Flanagan. And he was over the Columbia County, but he still is technically. He's over all of that region.
And another thing that a lot of people don't understand, Augusta is part of a judicial circuit. Back in the day, you would hear about judges riding the circuit.
Mhm.
Well, the Augusta Judicial Circuit is comprised of Burke County, Columbia County, and Richmond County. They're the same judges for the entire circuit. So Richmond County Juvenile Court has the same juvenile court judges as Columbia County and Burke County. Judge Flanagan, who is the presiding judge, presides primarily in Columbia County and Burke County.
Okay.
And in Richmond County, we have Judge Amanda Heath, Judge McKenzie, and part-time Judge Keith Johnson.
Yes, yes.
And so those counties make up the Augusta Judicial Circuit. And for the first time now, I'm the first staff attorney that they have had in this kind of capacity, and it's much needed.
Okay.
Because we have a growing population, and since he took the helm, there are a lot of changes,
Mhm.
and so we're making a lot of changes.
Well, we don't have a lot of time. I know we got to address quite a few needs, but with the position that you have, your position, do you represent the children, or do you represent the parents, or do you represent the community? What exactly, who do you really represent?
Well, I work for Augusta Richmond County,
Mhm.
the juvenile court, and I no longer can personally represent parents or children in the system because I work for the court. So that would be a conflict.
I mean, with your job title, you're the I understand that as far as your legal services, but I mean, as far as administrative attorney, what do you actually do as the attorney?
And I wear
Administrative.
several hats.
Okay.
I would love for it to get to the point where I can just be in the capacity to dispense legal advice for the court and to operate as staff attorney. But unfortunately, the court is underfunded, and does not have the type of resources that we need. So I have multiple capacities. Number one, the reason why Judge Flanagan brought me there was to be the court's DFACS liaison. And everyone is familiar with or has had some contact with DFACS. So I am the court's DFACS liaison, which means one of my jobs is to attempt to reel in Richmond County DFACS and all of the many facets as it concerns our children. Because in Richmond County, we have over 500 children in foster care in Richmond County alone. In addition to that, we have children that's what's called family preservation status, or children that are under the court's protective orders in what we call safety plans. So that's a huge task. And currently in Richmond County, there is no director. We don't have a Richmond County DFACS director. So that's one of my tasks. In addition to managing what's called the Citizens Review Panel. Most people don't know that the court has a volunteer panel of more than 50 people that meet once a week and review the cases that are in foster care and make recommendations back to the judge as part of the juvenile code. And so I manage and supervise the Judicial Citizens Review Panel. In addition to that, we have 2 therapy programs that the state's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council has. I applied for a grant and received it. We have over $400,000 in grant funds that I administer to 2 different programs. One program is the multisystemic therapy, and that's for our high risk or our children that have scored high on what's called a PDRA score, who have been charged with felonies. This is our last stop in therapy. That's a home-based therapy before they are incarcerated or committed. The other therapy is what's called aggression replacement therapy for those children that have those issues, and that's a group therapy. So I manage that as well.
Okay, we need to take a break. You've given us quite a bit of information, but when we come back from the break, I got some specific questions.
Okay.
And we're gonna get down to the real issue with dealing with our children, and I'm sure that our panelists have some questions. So let's take a break. It's Bring It to the Table. Real Talk with Angela C. Hart. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning for Bring It to the Table Real Talk with Angela C. Harden is brought to you by Shout 94.7, the music of power and praise.
Blessings. I'm here with Rosalind at Roz Gifts and Flowers. And Roz, I want to ask you, what is it that make your events stand out and pop?
Well, I'm different and unique, and I was blessed with my hands by God. And also, we're willing here at Roz Gifts and Flowers to work with any client with any budget.
Why don't you give them a call today? Blessings, and welcome back to Bring It to the Table Real Talk with Angela C. Harden. I want to get right to the point with some questions that I have. One of them is, what programs do you have for our children to help turn them around? Because now we know there's an issue with over 1,000 children in Augusta Richmond County that's not going to school. That's affected my household as well. What programs do you have available to help in that area to turn our kids around? That's one of the questions. Another question is, who do we have in the schools to talk with our children? And just maybe they'll listen, like, do you have judges that will come and talk to our kids before they appear in front of them and talk with them then? Just maybe they will listen before that. Sometimes we wait until things get out of hand or beyond help. We wait until they do something serious, or once they go to YDC, and from there to Finney Road, from there to prison. Sometimes we wait until things escalate before there is help. So do we have anyone that goes to the schools regularly?
But let me begin by saying, as I started, 2 years ago, there was a change, a shift, if you will, in the court that began with from the top, because juvenile court comes under the Superior Court. Judge Brown is the chief judge.
Which is your dad. We want to say blessings to Judge Carl Brown.
He is my dad,
Yes.
and he has a heart for children.
He does.
Having been on the bench since 1981, he has seen a lot and done a lot. And one of the things he believes, and there's an account, that we are going after the 99 is good, but we're going after the one. And if we can only save one, that's what we're going to do. He has a policy for all of us that we don't get into finger pointing, that we're not, because there's enough blame to go around every agency. But what our court has adopted is, we do believe that education is the piece. And you ask, who goes into the schools? What's happening for those children that are out of school, that have not been going to school? What are we doing? One of the first things that has happened in the last year is the court has hired an education specialist, who I was hoping that would be here tonight. That education specialist has spent hundreds of hours in the Richmond County school systems assessing what's going on. She is a former superintendent of schools and has graduated the largest class within the Department of Juvenile Justice. Those are children that are incarcerated and have graduated from school with diplomas.
Okay, we run that.
And so that is one of the things that we've added, because that's a piece. And so we believe in starting early, because and what happens is, we want to stop the pipeline. Children that are not in school have a tendency to commit crimes, because that's idle time.
Right.
And so, but it's starting earlier and earlier. We cannot point to or rehabilitate or find remedies for children without looking at the home and the source. Because you got to help mama or grandmama or auntie at the home, because the child has to go back home. So that is the other piece that we're adding as in addition to that, is support for parents.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you. Just excuse me for having to do this, but because we're running out of time. I've got to get a little personal right now. I just received a call. It's amazing that we're here today. On Friday, and from someone, and I believe it's CHINS, Children's in Need of Services. And for the many of you might not even know, I know you would know that I worked with juvenile court system as a guardian ad litem for many years, and I've had an opportunity to work with Judge Keith Johnson, who we mentor in the school system. I've taken him, invited him to some of our mentoring classes. The last few years, I've worked very closely with the juvenile court system. And I'm saddened that because I've worked so close, that because of what I'm dealing with in my family, that there have been no help, period. Now, I don't have time to talk about it right now, but I do want to invite you to come back because not only am I going through this with my family members, but there are a lot of families out there that children are struggling. Families are struggling. Children need help. And I got a real issue with the juvenile court system, DFACS, DJJ, that when you got those agencies that's not helping our children. I worked there and I hadn't been able to get help for my grandchildren. I'm sad to say that. And I've talked to you about it as well. I've talked to your dad even about this. I've talked to our superintendent, our sheriff. I'm talking about over the last few years that we've been dealing with this with one of my grandkids. And it's almost like it's hopeless. And for me to say that, that's major. You got a kid that's taken over your home, and when you discipline them, then they're threatened. The parents are threatened. That's not right. Something need to be done about that, and that might not even fall under your jurisdiction. Maybe we need to take it to the state, and citizens need to understand that it's important that they do what they need to do to change some of these laws, because children have too much authority in their parents' home, who is the ones that should have the authority. I tried to say that real nicely and dress it up, but I'm really affected by it, and I want to see something done. I want to see something done, without going in details. But when we do meet again, I'm going to have a record of some of the things that we've personally been dealing with, and it's almost like the things that have been put in place have not been, what word I want to use, enforced. From DJJ office to DFACS office to juvenile courts, and it's just, what do we do as parents? That's all I want to, what do we do with that when it's not being effective?
I think when they told us that we couldn't discipline our children, that was a big no in the first place. You get into our personal home, you're not here with us.
But let me dispel that. You can discipline your children. I'm a believer of that, and I'm a believer in period. So I don't, and as a defense attorney for many, many years, I have to dispel that rumor. You can discipline your children.
Right.
You just cannot abuse them. So there's a difference. Now, and I know, because as a part of I have received plenty of whoopings, and probably what would classify
Whoopings.
is on the other side of that, And but I'm an adult now. But I would tell you though that right, what classified what probably what I received would be something different under what the law perceives at this point. But you can discipline your children, and as the Bible says, you got to bend that sap while they're young. Now, unfortunately, what happens is as they grow older, and these kids come out of the womb grown now, you really have to knock little Johnny out. It's unfortunately that's really what's happening.
Abuse, that's
right?
abuse.
Yeah,
coming from the attorney now.
But I'm saying, but what happens is that child does not have a respect for authority, so
That's
he's
true.
gonna go to. Because if my
The
mama,
extreme.
if I said something to my mama, I would be scared to go tell the teacher or call. I'm gonna call 911. But that's what's happening now, and they become on the opposite ends of that, and they use that as a punishment for the parent. And that's how we end up in the court system. Like, in other words, you're not going to disrespect me in my home and stay in my
Yes.
home.
Yes.
You're going to have to stay outside.
Yes, yes.
And so now that and some of the parents are starting to do that, and that's when you hear about
And they
these
going
stories
to
in the-
jail.
You hear that in the news. But there are lawyers that will line up to represent you for free if they come and arrest you for trying to maintain.
I
order
need their
in-
names.
Maintain order in your home.
My question is this. Why is it that when a child pick up a phone and dial 911 and say, my parent did this or did that, automatically, when that person comes, the parent is guilty without a trial. And they're going to take the child's word before they take the parent child.
Well, and that's not all the time, but there is a presumption that if a child is making a cry for help, they have to err on the side of caution and investigate that. And so typically what they do is take the child out of the home until it's investigated.
Yeah, but a lot of times I know we way out of time. We gonna do 2 shows if we need to, but this is the issue. When defects come in, defects want to take all your children.
That's right.
This system is messed up. I'm telling you all from what I know. I ain't telling you from what I was told.
That's the policy.
And it's not just you got one kid who think they grown, disturbing the home. Then you got these other babies in the house that's being affected by that one kid. And yeah, they'll come after they threaten to arrest the parent, but then they'll come and take that child out. But all of the children got to go.
That's correct.
Who does that?
That's correct.
Who tabbed the whole home? That's not right.
Who's in charge of the home now? Is the children in charge of the home or the parents in charge of the home? I see so many, I meet with so many people in counseling at the church where their children seem to be in charge and not parents not in charge. And I understand, people say, my child wouldn't do this, but I understand children wear masks. They're one thing in their parents' eyesight, and there's somebody that's when they're in school, and there's somebody that's when they're in the street. So they wear a lot of masks. But we need to get the authority back into the home. And the home is a place where all learning originate.
That's right.
And that's good too, but even when you got the authority in the home, or maybe you don't have it in the home, but when the children begin to behave differently, and there's a pattern, and then there's some issues, whether it's mental or drug related, because our kids are influenced. They're
Yes.
influenced
Yes.
with marijuana. A lot of them smoking
Yes.
marijuana. A lot of them are on these different sites. They being encouraged, peer pressure. All of that can affect our children. I don't care how we raise them. You can raise your child in church. You can raise them on their knees. You can raise them with the word, and they'll still get out there and make bad choices. So a child that made a bad choice, how do we help that kid? How do we help them?
But the Bible says in Psalms 119, it says, hide the word of God in their heart, then they will not sin. In other words, if we do that, then maybe we can establish a foundation for them if we raise them in the home. And I must speak for the Bible. I must say that in reality, it will work. But again, we as parents, and I commend you for the many hats that you're wearing in this system. I just applaud you.
You got to be stressful.
I just applaud you. So I think you're doing a magnificent job.
Can you hold that thought? We'll be right back.
Okay.
Let's bring it to the table, Real Talk with Angela C. Harden.
Hello, I'm the Reverend Willie R. Rivers, the pastor of the First Day Spring Baptist Church here in the city of Augusta, Georgia, and I'm also a panelist on the program called Bringing It to the Table, which is produced by Pastor Angela C. Harden here in the city of Augusta. And this program is designed to be a watchdog for our community, to inform you on what's going on around you. Because sometimes we're not aware of the things that's underlying. But we're here to bring you the real news, not fake news, but to inform you of what's going on around you. And remember, we need your financial support. And you can do that by sending money to blessings319.org. And we will appreciate it because we really, really need your support to keep this program on the air. And again, I thank you and I endorse this. Again, this is Reverend Willie R. Rivers, the pastor of the First Day Spring Baptist Church.
Attorney Brown, you got something special getting ready to come up this Saturday. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, on Saturday, March the 16th at 11 a.m., we will be having a prayer meeting that is going to take place at 41 Walton Way. The court has been engaged in trying to preserve 401 Walton Way for the purpose of a juvenile court, because the juvenile court is homeless. Many people don't know that. And so on 401 Walton Way, there will be a prayer meeting, and everyone is in the community. Ministers are going to come and pray. Judge Brown is going to preside, and some of the judges will be there offering prayers as well to preserve 401 Walton Way. There's going to be a very important vote that's going to happen before the commission on March 19th. Expert Jim Hull is going to make a presentation in order to save 401 for the purposes of having a resource and training facility for our children. So we ask the community to come out and support the event, and not only that, to call your commissioners and relay to them the importance of keeping and having somewhere for the juvenile court and somewhere to train our children. I just want to encourage everyone. I have children, you have children and grandchildren, but these are the community's children. These are our children. I'm in the job I am is because I want my children to grow up in the community that I grew up in their community, and be safe, and to have and to be able to enjoy and be protected, and to have what every kid should have. But everyone should adopt the attitude that these are our children. But we can do a lot of finger pointing at different agencies, but we've got to come together and work together and come to the table, bring it to the table, and find solutions to help the community's children, because we're in a crisis. It's an emergency, and we need everybody's help.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to get ready to go, but I do want to say thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to the next show. And hopefully there will be a follow-up. I think that's what's missing, and having a relationship with those in the courts, the judges, with the attorneys, with the defects, those that's in authority. Maybe we need to have a better relationship with them, and they need to see them, these children, as being theirs as well. And as we close, I want you to remember, whatever we go through, whatever we are faced with, I want you to know that the Lord, He's working it out just for you.
Right.
He really is. Would you receive this blessing? It goes like this. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make His face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up a countenance unto thee and give thee peace. Jehovah Shalom, peace. God bless you. And guess what? We love you. Shalom.
With Angela C. Hardin. So whatever the problem is, just bring it to the table. Why don't you just bring it to the table? Bring it to the table. With Angela C. Hardin. So whatever the problem is, just bring it to the table. Come on, why don't you just bring it to the table? Why don't you just bring it? Bring it to the table. With Angela C. Hardin. So whatever the problem is, just bring it to the table. It's real talk.